Okay, so you'll notice that we did jump from, I think we went quiz 9 to quiz 11, okay? Or something like that. I forgot which one we're supposed to be doing, but because we didn't do quizzes for 2 weeks, so this actually may be quiz number 12. I have to double check, but don't worry about it. It doesn't matter which number I put on. So very first problem says write the equation of a quadratic function, and A and B are basically just translations. They're telling you it moves this way, it moves that way. All right, so whenever it's one of those types of problems where it translates left and right, we always deal with this type of equation. Okay, so I'm just going to write that on both of them here, just as a way to have the information in front of us. But we always deal with that equation. Now remember, the left and right movement is your h value, and the up and down movement is your y value. Okay, so if it goes 2 units to the left, well, actually, before I even do that, since they didn't mention my a term, then we write 1, right? So I'm going to write a 1 here. Now my translation says 2 units to the left, so is that a +2 or a -2 if it goes left? Anybody know? A plus, right? +2 squared. And it said 3 units down. Is that a plus or -3? If it's going down. Anybody? Minus, right? So there you go. We're done. That problem's quick. Okay? Same thing with part B. We're just going to translate 4 units to the right, and it opens down. Okay? If it opens down, what's my A value? -1. All right. Then we have X. It says 4 units to the right. So what should I write there? -4 squared. And did they tell me that it moves up or down? No, so just leave it empty. It's a 0. K is 0. So you're done. Okay? So those are the first 2 problems. Okay? They look like that. So moving on. Finding the axis of symmetry. Okay, so what is the axis of symmetry? Now these take a little bit longer, kind of, not really. Part B is really fast. Part A takes a little bit more time. But what is the axis of symmetry? The AOS, as they call it. Okay, so you may notice they write AOS for axis of symmetry. So when your equation is in standard form, in other words, when it looks like part A, then you're going to use this equation, x equals to -b over 2a. And x, well, negative of a -b, that's a -6, okay? And then divided by 2 times a, that's 2 times 2. So x is 6 over 4, which reduces to 3 over 2. And you're done. That's your axis of symmetry. If you were to graph this, that would be that invisible line, right, that goes straight up and down, that cuts the parabola in half. So that's how you find the axis of symmetry if it's in standard form. If it's in vertex form, so part B, then your formula is just x equals h. Well, what's my h value? Close. -2, right? H is always opposite, so there you go. And you're done. So notice 1 is easy, 1 is a little bit more difficult, but not terrible. You just need a formula. Okay? Plug your numbers in and work it out. Okay? But you will have one of each type of these questions. So make sure you know how to find axis of symmetry for both. All right. Number 3. Name the y-intercept. Now this should be probably like the easiest of the questions that we do. Okay? The y-intercept is found when you have an equation in standard form. So these two right here, they're in standard form. ax squared plus bx plus c, right? So these don't have the parentheses or the X and the H and the K, sorry. So for us, what we're looking for is just the C value. So my y-intercept for the first one is what? It's 8, yeah. And that's it. We're done. What's my y-intercept for part B? -4, thank you. So we're done. There you go. And yes, there are questions like that on your quiz, okay? Like I said, I'm not doing anything that's just going to waste time and we're just trying to eat up. Like, no, I got 35 minutes. I only want to cover the stuff that's important. So there you go. So far, we've done 6 problems. Okay, I think on your quiz there's like 12 total. It's mixtures of this stuff. Okay, so hopefully you feel pretty good so far. All right. Question number 4. After this, we got 2 graphing ones, then we're done. Okay. So question number 4, find the vertex. Now the vertex is different depending on your equation. Okay, if your equation is in vertex form, then you're just going to do your HK. Okay, if your equation is in standard form, like part B, then first you got to find your axis of symmetry, then you got to plug it in, then you got to find your Y. So part B is going to be the one that takes a long time. Part A shouldn't take you very long at all. Okay, so for this problem, remember that your vertex is H, comma, K. What's my H, comma, K here? 3, 5. And that's it. You're done, okay? So that's all you have to do. But when it's in standard form, it's not that easy, okay? Because your vertex requires your axis of symmetry first. So we're going to have to find our axis of symmetry. -b over 2a. Let's go ahead and work on that. So x is equal to -4 over 2 times 1. So that's -4 divided by 2 is a -2. So there's my x value. So now my vertex is going to be -2, comma, something. Okay? So -2, comma, something. So I'm going to get that -2 for x. I'm going to plug it into my equation. So y is equal to -2 squared plus 4 times -2 minus 4. So y is equal to 4 minus 8 minus 4. Well, that comes out to a total of -8. So here is my vertex. -2, -8. Any questions on this one? Notice, depending on the equation, certain things are easier to do, right? If you got to find a y-intercept, then it's easier to do it in standard form. If you want to find a vertex, it's easier to do it in vertex form. If you're trying to find your axis of symmetry, it's easier in vertex form. Okay, remember, vertex form is the one that has the parentheses with the square on it. Standard form is one that just has them all listed out. So, all right, so we're past 8 problems. Let's go to the last 2. Some of these will take a little bit longer than others. Vertex form is a little easier to graph. So, when you're going to do vertex form and graph, okay, so we have 2 things that we're going to graph. And if you want, you don't have to graph them right away if you don't want to make your graphs. Just write down the work first, and then once we're done, I'll leave the graphs up so you can copy them down. Okay? But at least write down the problems. So y equals to 2 times the quantity x minus 1 squared plus 2. And on the right side, y equals to x squared minus 4x minus 2. Now we're going to start with the easier one of the two. So that's going to be part A. So first thing I want to know is, what is my vertex? Well, my vertex is HK, right? So it's 1, no, positive 1, positive 1. It's the opposite of H, and then whatever K is. So 1, 2. So I'm going to put an answer right here, 1, 2. And then I'm going to write down my A term, okay? So A is 2. My A is 2. Now remember, we think of that like a slope. So like 2 over 1, right? It's kind of like 2 over 1. That means I got to ask myself, which direction does this open? Well, since A is positive, it's going to open up. And I'm going to go up twice over once. Okay, so up twice over once, that's here. Up twice over once in the other direction, that's there. And all I have to do is connect my dots, and I'm done. So this one is easier. You're going to have 2 of these to do on your test. Okay? You're going to have 2 of those. So, any questions on that one? All right. So, let's go ahead and continue here. Hold on a second. So now part B, this is the harder one. Okay? For part B, we need to be able to find the axis of symmetry and then our vertex. Okay? And then once we do that, we can use our y-intercept or use your A term. Okay? So here we go. Axis of symmetry. X equals negative b over 2a. Let me just figure out what b is. B is negative 4, a is 1. So x equals negative of a negative 4 over 2 times 1. So x is 2. That's my axis of symmetry. It's 2. So to find my vertex, I'm going to get my 2 and plug that into my problem. So y equals x squared minus 4x minus 2. So it's going to be y equals 2 squared minus 4 times 2 minus 2. That's going right into the equation. So 2 squared is 4 minus 8 minus 2. That's negative 6. So negative 6. All right, so now all I'm going to do is get my vertex. I'm going to plug that in. So 2 negative 6 is way down here. All right, and my y-intercept, what is my y-intercept for this equation? For this one right here, what's my y-intercept? A negative 2, so I'm going to put a dot at negative 2. I have my axis of symmetry at 2. We solved for that, so I'm going to draw a little line right here. So that means that since it's symmetric, I can draw another point over here. And now that I have those points, I'm just going to connect the dots. Oops, sorry about that. My hand kind of slipped as I was going in that direction. So there you go. So those are your 2 graphs. Okay, you'll notice the amount of work required for some is a lot more than the other. Okay, the one that it's in vertex form seems to be a lot easier. The one that it's in standard form seems to require a little bit more work. Okay? Any questions on any of these problems? Because that's all 10. This is what you guys need to know how to do. You guys are good? All right.